Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Good luck, everybody. Unmute, video on.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of TechRise. I don't know if I got this little glitch on my side or if you guys got it too, but if this is the first time you're joining us, I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley, and I'm a two-time Latina founder here in Chicago and now executive director of TechRise by P33. TechRise is something that we started in partnership with Verizon to help support overlooked founders across Chicago and the greater Illinois area. And so far, we've had 300 founders take the stage, and they've gone on to raise over $110 million in follow-on funding, which is about 10x what founders were raising each year before we started. So we're so excited to be doing another season here and another season with our great partners at Verizon. And this week's competition is focused on CleanTech. So we're going to have 5 incredible founders join us. But first, I'd like to introduce you to our judges. So we have Ryan Jeffrey joining us from Generator. He is an experienced entrepreneur, investor, and advisor who helps leaders and organizations do their best work. With over 15 years of experience founding and building high-growth organizations, he's now focused on supporting early-stage companies at the forefront of our climate and environmental crises as the Senior Managing Director of Sustainability at Generator. He's a 3-time founder, once acquired, investor, board member, and adjunct professor at Northwestern's Farley Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And proud father. I think we got to add that one to your bio. For sure. And then Mike Purnell is general partner at EHI CleanTech Ventures, where he sits on the investment committee, manages the operations of the firm, and advises startups in their portfolio on commercial and go-to-market strategies. He's an expert operator with 20 years in renewable energy and the climate space. And he's also a co-founder of an IoT technology startup that provides services to the manufacturing industry of middle market private equity. Mike, great to have you here too. I don't know if you have kids. You got to add those to your bio too, guys. Really think family needs to be added.
Yes, I do.
Just kidding. And then Alaina Harkness is joining us. She's the executive director of Current. She's also going to be our guest speaker today, so I'll do a slightly longer bio for her then. But I just, as a quick context, Current is a Chicago-based water innovation hub, and she leads the team working to grow an inclusive blue economy to accelerate innovation and solve pressing water challenges. And there's a lot more to come about her when we have her for the break. But
good to see everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here. All right, with that, we are going to get started with our first founder. And so, Dwayne, I'm going to have you join us on the stage. And Dwayne Bell is representing urEVcharge.
Hi. Come on, go. Full screen. Sorry, we're having some technical issues on this side.
No worries. We're going to all go video off while you present.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's go. Come on. Here we go. Share screen. And then get rid of this. And play. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, great. We're ready for you.
Imagine you work in a nearby Chicago suburb. You've just completed your day, and all you want to do is go home to your apartment in downtown Chicago, eat and chill, or like many of us, you start your job of managing your family. You get your EV and you find that it's at 20% charge. That's enough to get you home, but not enough to get you to work tomorrow. The closest fast charger to you is a 20-minute drive, and if you're lucky, there's a working charger available, and you'll get home in an additional hour or so. Currently, there are 39,000 registered EVs in the Chicagoland area, yet there are only 3,000 level 3 public chargers in the state of Illinois, and only 2% of those chargers are located in Metro Chicago area. That means for every 10 EVs, there's one charger. With soul food charging stations, many EV owners have to travel up to 20 miles to find a functioning level 3 charging station. For apartments, the primary issue is not only just lack of available space to add a charging station, but adding a charging network will affect the entire building's electricity costs, thus forcing the non-EV owners to pay for a service that they don't use. Hello, urEVcharge, the remote mobile charging service for high-rise properties. We provide level 3 charging to EV owners that live in the Chicago metro area. It's as easy as ordering takeout. Just a few taps on the app, and EV owners can easily schedule a charge anytime from anywhere. The EV owner need not be present. Our trucks provide level 3 charging, completely grid-free, with no impact on the existing or public electric grid system. And most EVs can be charged to 80% in 30 minutes or less. As a subscription-based and app-enabled service, we charge $39 a month to receive discounted kilowatts and priority booking. Each charge session is $25 plus the kilowatts. We plan to partner with national property management groups in the Metro Chicago area to start. Our service will allow them to save on construction and additional costs to their residents. It can also be used as a tenant retention or securing new tenants. Our competition landscape consists of AAA and Spark Charge. Both offer mobile charging, yet their approaches are different. Both services, though, offer only level 2 charging speeds, which provides only enough range for you to get to a public charging station. More waiting. urEVcharge, we provide level 3 charging to 80% so you can just drive. I do list public charging services stations because they are an option. The $25,000 prize money from this contest will be used to acquire a patent for our procedure and app development. There are many other applications for remote mobile charging. We will join AAA as a vendor. Fleet operators like Hertz and Avis can now charge on site. Expanding to non-metro users will be an additional revenue stream and will be a less expensive option for municipalities as they electrify their fleets. Again, I'm Dwayne Bell, and for the last 3 years, I've driven EVs for rideshare. I meet and speak with my fellow EV drivers on a daily basis. My practical experience in EV charging space gives me a unique insight with my client base. As for my advisory team, they are members of the Joseph Business Service, and they're led by Melissa Brown. Her team are leaders in contract and patent law, business development, and marketing. I'm Dwayne Bell, and this is urEVcharge. Thank you for your time. For more information, please scan the QR code.
Great, thanks so much, Dwayne. And then judges, we can bring you on screen. And Dwayne, if you want to stop sharing, you can get all the big faces.
Yep, I know, right? Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Ryan, you want to kick us off with the first question?
Yeah, sure. Hey, thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate it. I also can't come off video because it won't let me, but okay. There we go. Thanks, Dwayne. Really appreciate you walking us through that. Just want to start with, and maybe you mentioned this and I missed this, but can you just walk me through what the product looks like? So obviously you're providing level 3 chargers, and it sounds like you're able to do that with a subscription. So I understand the business model, but are you actually providing the hardware for the charging, or is it just the subscription and then offering people the ability to charge at other people's level 3 charging stations that already exist?
No, I have trucks, and the trucks are fitted with a level 3 charger. Okay. So, sorry. Does that mean something for me or you guys? Oh, okay. So did I answer the question enough? Because I can really
yeah. So then when somebody schedules a charge, you just have the trucks go to where they are to be able to then fully charge their vehicle wherever, and they don't even need. That's why they don't need to be present at all in order to charge. Okay.
Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dwayne. I got a thanks for thanks so much for this. This is a very interesting and exciting space. I'm an EV driver myself, so I get it, right? So quick question, as you think about it's getting to be somewhat of a pretty it can be a pretty crowded space, right? When we think about EV charging, there's a lot of people coming to market. I'm curious to think about, how are you thinking about your brand building, right? And how you plan to differentiate yourself in the marketplace?
Well, I believe urEVcharge is more of a concierge service. We're going to be more personal. Nobody's delivering charge to you. Most companies are setting up charging stations or trying to build elaborate charging areas, and we are at your beck and call. You give us a call, we come out and we charge you. So it's not necessarily, and our brand is going to be as such. We're going to be a service brand. We're going to come out, we're going to charge you wherever you are, whenever you need it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dwayne, I have a question about your customer acquisition strategy. Are you thinking about rolling out in particular neighborhoods or places where you know there's a pinch point? And it seems like it's very direct to consumer, but I also wonder if you've thought about partnerships with places that might be known pinch points. I don't even know what that could look like, but just curious how you're thinking about like the strategy of acquiring.
Well, the initial rollout is to partner with the property management companies, the national property management companies that have high-rise apartments downtown Chicago. And so with that, we also think that that'll be an easier place to grow because they'll have buildings everywhere. So I can possibly talk to one and actually speak with maybe 4 or 5 buildings at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So our thing is to initially start with high rises downtown, because not only do I believe that's like a captive audience, but that is where there is the biggest need for level 3 charging.
Thanks.
About 20 seconds left. Do you want? Go ahead.
Yeah, Dwayne, one more question. How are you going to use the 25,000? I know you're raising 5 million, but how are you going to use the 25,000 from this?
We're going to get the patent for the procedure of doing the charging, and we're going to develop the app.
All right, perfect.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, judges, for some great questions. Great job, Dwayne. And next, we're going to invite Nicole Ruiz with TUTT. Nicole.
Awesome. See my screen?
We can see you and we can see your screen, and then mind going video off for now.
Okay. Are we ready? Welcome to TUTT, a marketplace that sets a new standard in retail. We all have one of these, but do you know what's in it? There are over 8,000 different chemicals used to make that t-shirt. 60% of all of our clothes have polyester in it, which is plastic. Plastic microplastics are getting into our bodies, and it is causing infertility issues with women and men. You see, fashion is dirty, and I've seen it firsthand. I went to start an ethical line in Cambodia by women who were rescued from human trafficking, only to find out that the cotton in our fabric, 20% of it comes from other labor camps. You see, I am here to change this narrative, and I am not alone. 97% of people want to live a more ethical and sustainable life, yet only 13% are doing so. This is called the intention to action gap. And although we can't solve all of the issues in fashion, what we can do is focus on closing this gap. TUTT stands for Tell Us the Truth. We are a marketplace that closes the intention to action gap by doing the homework for the customer. Unlike Amazon and Etsy, we accept or deny products based on these clean quality standards, making it simple to shop sustainably. Labeling changes consumer behavior. When you see the word natural on food, you can check the back and see if it's really natural or not. So why don't we have this for our clothing that we wear 24/7? You see, there is market trends that we have identified that make this a perfect time to grow TUTT. Right now, the customer is spending money on certifications. They are ready, when they understand it, to put their money where their mouth is, and the organic market is growing 37% at just last year. Social media has opened our eyes to something that was once out of sight and brought it to the forefront. And that is why the global sustainability market is in a rapid growth movement. And because of technology, re-commerce, selling clothing items that were already made, is the fastest growing in our retail sector, seeing 16 times the growth just last year than regular retail. Everything is pointing to the need for a trusted source in fashion. And that is why we start right here with the marketplace. The $25,000 from TechRise helps us create a two-way Shopify integration and make it simpler to onboard our brands and grow faster. But the marketplace is just a funnel for our next two streams of revenue. The second one is called re-commerce. And we just partnered with Sutton, which is Green Label. She's a reality TV star. We're actually in Texas right now at a fashion sustainability conference. And we also got a letter of intent to have our own relabel of clothing. New EU sustainability laws include now a digital passport. You saw in apparel nutrition facts. Those are the perfect setup for that. We focus on the granola curious customer, the person who puts berries and Cheez-Its in their cart. Now, if I ask you, where do you go to buy organic food? You're going to say Whole Foods. Where do you go to buy organic clothes? Exactly. That's going to be TUTT. Now, we have a clothing swap. The market is live and ready. We've had to open it up 3 times. We have over 140 people registered right here in Chicago. Our competitors in the market are making it effort, but no one is doing it just like us. So this is my co-founder I brought on, Melissa. I come from automotive. The parallels are there. Now that you know, what will you do? Thank you.
Great job. If judges, you want to join us on, and Mike, you're going to kick us off if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Exciting stuff, exciting space. You show some great team members on your page, and you just brought on a new person to your team as well. Can you tell me a little bit more how the team is constructed? Is it just you two guys, or is there another team in the background? Just give me a little bit more context with the team.
Absolutely. So I have a co-founder that I brought on that has 13 years of sales experience. And then we have Jay, who is he's actually the ex-VP of Lord & Taylor. So he is on our board. I have 2 old CTOs that I work with. So my background is tech, automotive technology. So they are also on our board. And then we have people in the space. So one of them is Malvina. She has worked for Lensing, which is one of the greatest companies in this world of changing fabric types. So they created something called tensile modal and created a closed loop process with their contaminants, with their chemicals. So we have a great board. And then on staff, I also do have Oscar, shout out. I know he's watching. He's been with me for 2 years and really helps with the development and taking care of the customer.
Awesome. Thank you.
Alaina. Oh, sorry. Alaina, do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, I wasn't trying to jump in, but I do have a question. I guess I'm wondering in your pitches, what are some of the what are some of the questions you've gotten about adjacent markets and the way that this might apply to other verticals besides retail? I mean, I think there's something that's really interesting about the platform, and you mentioned the food labeling. So just tell me how you thought about either learning from other adjacent markets or maybe influencing them.
Absolutely. So my own personal journey, I learned how to sew at 10, wanted to start this line. And so when I went to make my ethical line, I really could not find the fiber content location. So a lot of times you see the manufacturing location, which is made in China, made in Mexico. But where did that fiber come from? That's what's really important. And that is a visualization of the supply chain. So what we are doing can be duplicated, and we do eventually plan to bring this to other things that we put on our body, such as clean beauty, or maybe we wrap ourselves in, such as our blankets. So it's really important to understand the supply chain, but for the customer, that's a little heavy. So to make it more clear and more easy, that's why we created something that immediately someone understands and trusts.
Ryan.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nicole. That was great. I know. So you're building essentially a B2B to C business here. Can you just walk me through? You walked us through how you find the consumers and so your go to market on that side. On the business side, on the retail side, how are you finding those brands? Are they coming to you? Are you going to them? And what does the verification process look like to build that trust with consumers?
And we have 30 seconds, just
Thank you. Awesome. So we slip in their DMs. It sounds crazy, but they're right there. So that has been the best. And then we have been found by brands. There is a hole right now with Etsy. They don't fit. Where do these people go? There is no home for them. And so they don't fit in Etsy. They don't fit on Amazon. And so we are that hole. We're their home. We solve that problem.
Gotta stop us, just to be fair.
No problem.
Great job, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, and then next we're going to invite Eva Bugg with REUSO.
Thank you so much.
I'll let you know when we can see everything.
Please let me know when you can see.
You're good to go.
Awesome. I'm so excited to tell everyone more about REUSO today, our reusable packaging software system. I would like to first share some facts to highlight our disposable waste problem. Roughly 1 trillion single-use items are thrown away on an annual basis, and there are 33 billion pounds of plastic entering our oceans annually. The recycling rate, especially here in Chicago, is less than 10%. Our landfills are filling up, our waterways are filling up, and our recycling isn't working. There must be another solution. I'd like to introduce you all to REUSO. REUSO helps food and beverage operators make reusables a reality to save costs, eliminate waste, and showcase their sustainability commitment. We do this through a digitized reusables and software system. What this means is that we are able to measure how many reuses each reusable item has had to date. Similar to a library book system, customers check containers out from participating operators. Customers create an account by texting Get REUSO to our phone number, which can be found on our website and at participating locations. Customers then receive text message reminders to return their containers within the return window to avoid souvenir fees. On the back end, each location is able to view and manage their reusable container inventory. REUSO provides a monthly impact report for each of our locations based on their amount of checked out and returned containers. We also provide container replenishments to locations below their desired level, whether due to being kept as a souvenir or returned to a different location. REUSO launched our B2B2C software system in fall 2023 and generated $30,000 in revenue. Our revenue comes from software licensing B2B and from the sell and replacement of containers and return bins to new and existing clients. Universities are a scale play for us that represent an exponential growth opportunity on the horizon, in addition to our strategic partnerships. This year, we are focused on scaling our software and impact through these strategic partnerships. The first partnership is with food service providers. We just unlocked one of the big three with a nationwide contract. The second, with container manufacturers. We currently have relationships with 6, with explorations into affixing the QR code tags on the reusables at the point of manufacturing, thus driving customer acquisition costs significantly down. The third is with municipalities. Through public sector funding of our Jumpstart kits, including containers in the initial few months of software licensing, our model allows for ongoing revenue for REUSO, as well as waste reduction for the communities. We have been in collaboration with Shed Aquarium for the past several years and are proud to be part of their Let's Shed Plastic program. We are now in discussions to launch a similar public sector funding model with Sustain Evanston and Wastewise Minnesota over the coming summer. $25,000 from TechRise would benefit REUSO with our software and our business development efforts. As we now have signed contracts with large-scale food service providers, we are interested in hiring someone that would be focused on growing this portion of our business. We would also put part of these funds towards building out the needed features to expand into the university setting, thus further increasing our impact of eliminating disposable waste. My name is Eva Bugg, and I am the co-founder of REUSO. Leveraging 45 plus years of management, operations, and technology implementation experience, we launched REUSO in 2022 to help eliminate single-use waste at scale. I am joined on this venture with Andrew Don and Neil Mysak, Neil Meisick is my fellow co-founder who will also be joining me for the Q&A portion today. Thank you.
Great. Alaina, could you kick us off?
Sure. Thanks, Eva and team, and congrats on all the customer acquisition and growth. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about some of the regulatory changes that would make expansion a lot easier, and how it sounds like you've got some municipal partnerships to work through those things. But I think it'd be great for everyone to hear what's standing in the way of broader adoption.
Of course. I'll let Neil take the first one.
Absolutely. So I dedicated my work at Northwestern Law on this exact topic, had the opportunity to hear from entrepreneurs like Desiree and compete in VentureCat, learn from Ryan. Through those learnings, we acknowledged that there is both federal law as well as local law that pertains to reusables. Here in Illinois, we are actively advocating for return bins on public ways, lowering the barrier to entry to get these reusables back into the ecosystem. And we would appreciate the community's continued help on that front. We are also working to hard code large scale washing hubs, which would allow for us to support the likes of stadiums, venues, think Northerly Island, and off-site washing. So those are two areas of legislation that we're actively advocating for that would increase the adoption of reusables at scale.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan.
Yeah, hi Eva, hi Neil. Good to see you. Can you walk me through a little bit more? Because I know like universities obviously are the big customer for you and outreach. A little bit more about the value proposition for them in terms of how you're selling it. So it's like I'm just curious, is it a cost driver or is it just sustainability play for them? Like what is the reason why your customers would say yes to you?
Cost driver and the sustainability play. We create a digital twin of each of our items. It's not enough to say an item is reusable. How many times has that item actually been reused? So we're able to provide that impact report to our clients on a monthly basis that they can either share with their marketing team, their stakeholders of, through REUSO, this month we eliminated 1,000 disposable items. That's equivalent to this much solid waste, material waste, carbon emissions. And I'll let you answer the other part of it too.
Absolutely. Ryan, we spent a lot of gyrations around unit economics for this model. And the best model that we found is taking a software scan to check in and out of our reusable containers that can be used 1,000 times and comparing that to a compostable or a single-use container. At scale, the unit cost for that check-in and check-out can be significantly lower than the cost of a single-use item and also maximize longevity of that product. And so we're focused on selling, if you will, B2B bulk check-in and outs to operators that will prepay for the usage of the reusables.
Mike?
Yeah, really quick. Thank you. Fascinating stuff, Eva. So are you guys currently producing right now and like manufacturing the containers? Or do you have a plan for growth and how you can increase that production over time?
That's a great question. We pride ourselves on being what we refer to as container agnostic. As long as we can tag it, we can track it. So we aren't manufacturing any of our containers, but with our partnerships with the different existing container manufacturers, we're in the conversations of affixing the tags at that point of manufacturing so that as they're selling the containers to their different clients, the REUSO software is able to piggyback on top of that and help keep the reusables that are being sold in circulation to their clients. But we've used stainless steel, 100% virgin plastic, 100% recycled plastic. As long as we can tag it, we can track it.
Thank you.
10 seconds left. Anything else you guys want to say?
We are the sticker and software on top of the reusable. We're actively exploring novel tag types and have some promising IP in the final stages of patent prosecution that would build.
Now I got to talk to us, but thanks so much. Great job, guys.
Awesome.
All right. And next, we're excited to invite Erick Salvatierra with Install.
Thank you. Today, I'm here to talk to you about buildings. Cities like Chicago remind me why one of the most important themes in clean tech today is retrofitting existing real estate to become more energy efficient and resilient. In fact, we can trace back 30% of CO2 emissions to the inefficiency of how buildings are operated and run. And this comes out to a massive near $1 trillion in potential savings lost annually due to overlooked measures. The bulk stock of buildings that will exist in 2050 have already been built, which means we have to accelerate solutions in existing built environments, and it's an absolute must. Now, my experience in buildings goes back to my college working days and facility operations and continues today as I'm a small property owner myself. I've worked in repairs, calculating expenses, running assessments, and it's a time-consuming process. It involves spreadsheets, connecting with utilities, working with multiple softwares, modeling scenarios, and each project with the goal of enhancing efficiency starts with identifying opportunities to optimize operations and reduce costs. And it becomes an issue when your expenses are an inhibiting factor for your building sustainability effort. And it's a struggle if you've either owned a building for decades or if you've recently purchased one. Even the most established brands find it a challenge to engage with property owners in this $921 billion business of simply running and maintaining these buildings here in the United States, where the average cost per unit can top $16,000 per year. Which leads us asking, how can we accelerate reducing emissions if the transition is either hindered by high upfront costs or determining if a sufficient return on investment is even possible? And Install was born out of this challenge. Our goal is to enable real estate investors and property owners in curbing emissions linked to operational costs in their buildings by running them more smarter and more efficient. We want to be the check engine light for your buildings, ensuring that you have insight into fragmented assets such as your HVAC and your major appliances. With Install, scaling your approach in enhancing efficiency can be done remotely and simply. Install gathers data from utility uses, bank statements, documents, smart device integrations to provide insights into cost control and monetization opportunities across every major energy category. Our initial product provides us a platform for users to enter this grid tech market that's currently expanding, and we're just getting started. We want to revolutionize building management by addressing the vertical integration challenges that currently exist. While current solutions from industry giants like Exelon, Samsung, Rheem, and Nest are noteworthy, they lack interoperable approach that's needed. Our vision includes connectivity response to reduce grid strain, updating buildings for future demands, and fostering sustainability for value creation. We're targeting commercial real estate portfolios with unique footprints, and we're particularly interested in these type of buildings due to their fragmented nature in controlling costs. In terms of our business model, we're charging on use-based pricing, allowing for future customers to scale based on the changing needs. This will allow for more flexibility and customization, catering to unique needs for each building footprint. And we're asking for your vote today to support our early build runway, more specifically on expanding our algorithm and our product experience. Your investment will allow us to accelerate reinvestments into building upgrades, transforming multi-tenant and commercial properties into the microgrids that we need for tomorrow. And we're just the right team to build in this space. Our founding teams, myself, Cesar Roman, and Chad Abel, and together we bring combined experiences in energy efficiency, revenue recognition, property management, machine learning, and cloud-based solutions. And a parting thought, among every built environment, one receives far more than they seek. So in the spirit of Earth Day, spend time among your built environments because they will remind you the importance buildings play on our environment. We are Install. The QR code on the next slide here is our wait list. Thank you so much.
Great job, Eric. Thank you. And we're going to invite Mike to, actually, I'm sorry, Brian, can you go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Eric. Thanks so much for walking us through that. That was great. I'm just curious a little bit about the traction that you've had so far. Have you signed up any buildings, property owners, LOIs? I know you haven't launched yet, but where are you at in terms of customer development and growth overall?
It's been a process of 2 months of just talking to see where the pain points are. We originally started off in real estate, and specifically in single-family homes, and we made a shift into looking into multifamily properties. So no customer acquisition right now. We really wanted to have a product to show before actually coming into a market and saying, this is actually possible. So, in a month or two, I feel like we're going to have some massive impact once we have a product ready to go.
Mike?
Eric, thanks for the presentation. Great stuff. Quick question around, how you go in and assess, right? So I'm assuming there's a baseline efficiency sort of assessment, and then from there, you sort of make your recommendations to the building property manager, whoever that may be. Kind of walk me through, how you set that up, and is there any IP around how you do that?
Yeah, so the only thing you need is an account with one of your utilities. That map we showed is where we're currently located, and that gives us an access into how our property energy model works within your home. It'll give you historical data from 12 years. It'll give you recurring transactions of 15 minutes to a day, depending on your location. And what we're looking to do here is transform how we're interacting with smart devices, right? We're looking to get your old devices onto distributed energy resources. So the idea is that we're just putting together the infrastructure that is necessary to make these buildings smarter.
Perfect. Thank you.
Alaina.
Can you say a little bit more about how this win and this funding would be transformational for the company?
The win for this would just be a good platform to get us into customer acquisition, being that we're looking for your real estate investors or your gray stars, right? Those are hard individuals to get into and get in front of. And the majority of them don't live here in Chicago. They live in New York, they live in San Francisco. So being here in Chicago, we have a base and foundation of where we want to be established in the Midwest, but also being able to go and travel, be in person, and talk to these real estate investors that don't live here in Chicago.
Helpful, thanks.
Yeah.
We have time for another question or so. Anyone have one?
Yeah, really quick on the how are you thinking about the competition in this space, Erick? Because it can be a crowded space. There's a lot of people who drop in software, right? How are you thinking about that?
Yes. So there's very crowded space in residential. We think multifamily units, commercial properties are a big area to approach, mainly because you need that hardware. And the hardware is a competing space now that you're bringing smart appliances, which is an assumed hardware in place. We've seen companies out of New York that are actually doing this, and we just want to compete against what's going on in New York, right? I think there is a space to really make it very simple to get in and transform how we're actually interacting with your utilities. And I have a network there as well that can build on what that integration and engagement looks like.
Yeah, thank you.
Final thoughts, Erick? You have a couple seconds left.
No, thank you for the platform. This has been great. It's been a great opportunity. My team has been very helpful in building this platform, and we're looking to have it launched sometime here in May.
Congrats. Well, great job. And thanks so much, judges. And we're going to invite our last founder to the stage. We have Lily Wang with Demi.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Let me know when you guys are able to see that.
We can see you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you for having me today. To start, let me ask this. Which of these would you think has a bigger impact on our planet? The number of flights taken in a year or food we throw away? Well, spoiler, quite literally, it's our food waste. The carbon footprint of food waste in the US is 3 times that of the entire airline industry. 40% of all of the food that we're producing today gets thrown away, making it the #1 material in our landfills. And the single greatest contributor to this problem isn't restaurants, retail, or farms. It's the food that we're throwing away at home. But all of this is entirely avoidable because food waste isn't actually trash. By composting, we not only have divert food waste away from landfills, but we also have this amazing opportunity to upcycle it into valuable resources like fertilizer or biofuels. The only problem is there isn't a single solution on the market today that makes composting even feasible for the 40 million Americans living in apartments. That's where Demi comes in. We're the only solution designed for apartments and the first solution executing on a nationwide strategy by partnering with buildings to make composting totally mainstream. We provide urban residents with a tech-enabled system, from sleek bins to smart collection pods, all of which is powered by our mobile app to cultivate an entire culture of composting. With the Demi app, users can track their impact, earn rewards, and compete with their friends. Meanwhile, for properties, we offer a data-driven amenity that attracts that new generation of tenants while offering opportunities for higher revenues and reduced waste and maintenance costs. Partnering with buildings is effectively what enables us to keep our CAC really low while benefiting from significant economies of scale. We operate a B2B2C model where buildings pay us a monthly fee to service the entire property, the same way they pay for trash or recycling. And then they can pass that cost on to the resident by bundling it into their utilities or rent. At scale, we're operating with a 51% margin per building and an LTV to CAC ratio of 4.6. And with nearly 11 million buildings across the country, we're targeting a $176 billion opportunity. But our initial focus is on residential buildings in the top 15 metro areas, representing a $1.6 billion market. And what really excites us about this model is how quickly it scales. In our initial phase, we're specifically targeting buildings that are run by national property groups with portfolios of hundreds of buildings across the country. And typically, once they roll out an amenity that the residents love in a few buildings, they want that same amenity in all their buildings. And we're really excited to share that since launching less than a year ago, we've signed on 5 buildings with some of the nation's largest and most reputable property groups. Today, we're servicing over 1,000 units and have composted more than 5,000 pounds of food waste. And so far, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Our customers, both residents and property managers alike, love Demi. And we think a big reason behind this is because we're building something that truly fills a gap for apartments today. With 86% of Americans now living in urban areas, it really makes no sense that all of the existing composting solutions are focused on high-cost D2C models, single-family homes. Demi is the only product on the market today that offers a highly scalable and cost-efficient composting system designed for urban areas. But multifamily is a tough industry, and we're at this critical point now where we need to capitalize on our early momentum to scale. With $25K, we'll be able to invest in a key sales hire who brings deep connections to specific owners and operators that we're looking to partner with. With this hire, we'll be able to break into 10 more buildings, enabling us to reach our goal of 10K in MRR by the end of the year. We're a team of passionate technologists and business builders who, in addition to being apartment composters ourselves, bring the right expertise in logistics, circular economy, and multifamily real estate to really bring Demi to life. With rapidly growing regulatory tailwinds now making composting mandatory across numerous states and cities, we're excited to be pioneering a future where composting is mainstream and accessible for everyone. We believe big impact starts with small choices, and a food waste-free future begins with Demi and hopefully with you. Thank you.
Great job. All right, Mike, can you kick us off?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Lily. I saw waste management and some other people on your chart. Have you thought about sort of corporate partnerships, if you will, to sort of accelerate your market reach?
Definitely. That is something that is on our radar for sure. We wanted to establish partnerships with these large multifamily players first so that we could build that reputation and trust and start to build out, that portfolio level network effect. But once we, have established a bit more reputation, that is definitely something that we would be interested in, especially, as channel partnerships or potential lead generators. Being able to partner with large corporations like that who have already done this type of work would be a huge catalyst.
Perfect. Thank you.
Alaina.
I'm wondering how you're marketing this, because I know it's such a pain point. I talk to friends all the time about how frustrated they are. And I'm just wondering what the strategy is to sort of capture those pain points and make that part of the sales strategy around this.
Yeah. And are you specifically thinking about residents or for building managers and operators?
I've heard from both, actually.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear your perspective on who's the best voice on this.
Yeah. So we partner specifically with the building operators. Those are the people who are ultimately paying the contractors. And the main value props that we position to them is really in 3 ways. We offer them, essentially revenue sharing opportunities, lower costs, and a way to differentiate and attract their tenants. But I think the biggest pain point that they're struggling with right now is the only solution for a big apartment building is you just have a big dumpster, like somewhere in a parking garage or somewhere on site that is now full of open food waste, and that can attract a ton of issues around pests or odor. And so what we're really trying to position, and this is for residents too, is a super sleek, very almost like sexy solution for composting that kind of flips that stigma about it being gross and icky on its head, and really trying to make, dive into this cool factor to make it super mainstream and easy. Thanks. I hope that answers. Yeah.
Thanks, Lily. Just one question around expansion. How are you thinking about that overall? Is it going to be regulatory driven based on those markets that you mentioned are forcing apartments to compost, or is it going to be driven based on your sales strategy and what buildings you currently have to get into new buildings that they also manage?
Is a really, really great question, and I'm glad you asked. So right now we're focusing primarily in Chicago, building out the network that we have today to really demonstrate that, this model works, it's scalable, and we can drive value proposition even in a non-mandated market. But we're actually already in conversations with several of the largest property managers in mandated markets like Austin, and that has all been inbound because of the regulatory concerns that they're now starting to see. And so we are starting to, think about it now from a two-pronged approach. How do we capture those regulatory mandated markets while also, driving scale here in where we are in Chicago today?
We have time
Cool,
for one more
thanks.
question. Yeah. Last minute questions.
Yeah, one more. I thought I heard you mention that no one else was doing it in one of the slides. Are you guys the first mover in this space?
We would be the first mover in the space. So the way that most, micro haulers support apartment buildings today is through 5-gallon bucket services or community drop-off programs, but those are all hyper local and really fragmented across the country. And so there isn't a single large player that is offering composting services to apartment buildings today. And we would be the first mover, which is why that critical move, speed to market is so important for us, and that 25K is so critical.
Awesome.
Proud Lily, that was perfect timing. All right, so Ryan and Mike are going to go off and deliberate, and Alaina's going to stay on and join us. But Alaina, while I'm reading your bio, feel free to send over what your choices were to Lucy or whoever else you want to message. Okay, so Alaina, as you got to see, has some great questions. And as you hopefully remember, she's the executive director of Current. And under her tenure at Current, they've helped attract more than $20 million in federal investments for water innovation to the region, launched the first real-time water quality monitoring tool for the Chicago River, and supported the commercialization of more than a dozen water startups. Prior to that, she served as managing director for the economic development firm REUVcharge, where she helped launch and lead the New Growth Innovation Network and developed inclusive growth strategies for cities and metropolitan regions. She's also led a research fellowship in urban governance at the Brookings Institute, led urban development strategy for the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, and staffed civic collaboratives at the Chicago Community Trust. Alaina is a non-resident fellow in the Global Cities program at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs and has published research and commentary for the Brookings Institute, Cranes, the San Francisco Federal Reserve Bank, and City Lab. And she holds a BA in political science and art history from the University of Rochester and a master's degree in public policy and Latin American studies from the University of Chicago. Alaina is a longtime resident of Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood and serves on the board of the Urban Initiatives and Markets Village, and she's a member of the Economic Club of Chicago, a graduate of WEF Water Leadership Institute, and a 2014 Fellow of Leadership Greater Chicago. You have been so busy, and I also didn't realize that we had the overlap in Latin American studies. Although your master's degree is significantly more advanced.
Get you a shorter bio, but actually, then you discover these things, right?
Yes, and I get to see all this.
Great to be back.
I don't think you should get a shorter bio. I think you deserve all those seconds of me saying everything that incredible that you've worked on. So, we have heard the word blue economy, but will you remind people what that means? And I'm going off script as usual. So
yes. So for Current and for us in the blue economy, we intentionally took a very broad look at this because we think it's so important to draw a circle around the companies that are creating water solutions, which are a huge part of that, but it's also the companies that demand those water solutions to manage water challenges, right? So it's heavy water users. We might think of like food and beverage manufacturers. We might think of quantum computing centers or data centers or, chip fabs, lots of things that are all like really top of mind, especially when we're here talking about the clean economy and clean tech. And the role that it's going to play in the critical climate transition we need to accelerate. So for us, we define it very broadly. For specific markets and regions, we define it really specifically. So we've got a report, I can drop it in the chat, called Upstream Illinois, and that's the first report on Illinois' right to win in the blue economy and the things that we're really great at. And it's things like sensor development to get better precision at tracking contaminants in our water and also tracking resources that we might want to recover from our water. That's really important. So that, among other things, material science, there's a lot of things we're really good at, but we need to draw a circle around it and then invest appropriately so that we can build an inclusive pipeline of talent and really make sure that people are building great careers and jobs and wealth and ownership of companies in this blue economy. So happy to drop a link to the strategy, but that's how we define it. And you might hear blue economy broadly in reference to ocean and marine resources. And that's, partly just because so much of our water is in the ocean. But there's a very important freshwater lens on the blue economy, and it's our job to make that clear to people.
And with our position on the Great Lakes, it's, of course, we are so well positioned to be the leader in the freshwater version of that. So you mentioned extracting important resources from the water. Would you mind just help people understand what that could be?
Yeah, absolutely. So we send a lot downstream in our wastewater, and some of that's great. It helps, to keep wastewater treatment plants cleaning it out and, sending what goes back into our waterways cleaner. But we're sending things that, when they don't come out, can be really damaging to economies and ecologies. And one of those things is nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. Those are things that are often used in fertilizers, and fertilizers are great. They help us be productive in ag. They help us grow things more effectively. It's wonderful. But in extreme concentrations, they can collapse entire ecologies. Like, we have a dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico that's largely created by the excess nutrients that are running off of ag in the Midwest. And that is a huge problem. It's also a major problem in Lake Erie. So recovering those nutrients, these are things that are also in short supply around the world. So we don't have an unlimited supply of phosphorus. We need to be better about recovering it from our wastewater. So that's one example. The second I'll highlight, it's really important to this conversation, again, around clean tech, the critical minerals and materials that go into EV battery production, for example, and energy storage, lithium, cobalt, nickel. These things are also in short supply, often come from high conflict regions around the world. And we can do a better job recovering them from the wastewater from mining and other industrial manufacturing applications. That's really important as we think about what it's going to take to have a sustainable supply chain around the clean technology transition. So those are two examples I'd highlight when we talk about resource recovery.
And so how do we actually do that? Is it like a big screen? Like, how are we pulling those nutrients?
Yeah, I'll just bring it down. So you heard in my bio, I'm not an engineer. We work with lots of engineers and lots of scientists, but really it boils down to super filters. Like, think about like the most selective and specific filters that you could imagine, right down to the molecular level, things that are able to precisely target and remove those valuable elements, but also let the rest of it go through. And same thing with contaminants. So people may be hearing a lot about PFAS lately. There's big news last week with regulations that came down on how much PFAS is allowed to be in our water and drinking water. It's a massive challenge. It's in just about everything. But there are innovative technologies that are being developed to actually target that PFAS, sequester it, and eventually destroy it. And that's, these are chemical compounds that were designed to be indestructible. So it's material science down to the molecular level, and it's creating those super filters and also the AI and predictive analytics to help find and target where those materials are in the first place. So there's, in addition to the hard tech layer, there's a lot of software and computing power that's necessary too.
Yeah, no, that is so exciting. And I'm curious if our universities are producing some of that research and then those engineers, or do we have to import them from other regions?
They are producing it here. We actually just had a great story on part of our Great Lakes Renew collaboration. There is a PFAS trial underway right now with one of our partners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and researchers out of Northwestern and Argonne. So they're trialing that technology right now on a wastewater site, which is really exciting. And there's many other R&D projects underway that could all lead to commercializable, inventions. And that's really, really exciting.
And so
can I say one more thing?
Please do. Yeah.
So the import question is really interesting. The thing that we need to be really mindful of is the volume of talent and the specialization. So we're thinking about the pipeline that's going into these future careers and thinking about material science, wastewater processing. It's something that other countries and our competitors are producing at much greater volume. So we've really got to compete on specialization and like being the best and most innovative, but also we could do better building a bigger pipeline of students and eventually professionals that want to go into these careers. So part of our Great Lakes Renew endeavor is all about building that talent pipeline so that we're not having to import talent, but we can grow our own.
So all the young people like me who want to be a marine biologist, maybe we can just pivot them into thinking about being blue economy specialists.
Exactly. I have a marine biologist.
Start in 4th grade.
Yes, exactly. There are so many adjacencies. So one of the things we're really thinking a lot about is like mapping out all those career pathways. If you have this interest, what are all the ways you can apply it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things that you said really nodded to or implied a ton of collaboration across universities and, for-profit businesses and, federally funded labs. And so, and I know that the award that we just got from the National Science Foundation for the Innovation Engine as a region is an extreme example of that. So could you talk a little bit about how the collaboration is working, not just within the state, but across the region?
Yes, absolutely. We think it's really important that Great Lakes Renew, this engine that you're mentioning, spans the region, because while Chicago and let's take also our neighbors in Milwaukee and Cleveland, there's robust work going on underway in all those cities. But when you think about the global scale of this, the challenge of it, and also the market opportunity, it's just a lot more robust when you connect those together. So the power of a partnership like Great Lakes Renew is that we can combine our strengths and our assets across a much larger portfolio of research universities. We can take the strengths of a partner like TechRise and P33 and blend that with similar efforts that are on the way underway on the ground in these other cities. We can think about complementarities in terms of affordable wet lab space and where companies are thinking about growing. It's just a more robust market of investors too. So there's a real advantage to that. It's both market and also the assets that we have on the ground, that if we knit them together, we're just more powerful at addressing this incredibly large problem that we truly has global applications.
I completely agree. And we are so excited to host our first TechRise with you in partnership later this fall. So we'll be announcing that and recruiting more founders. But if anyone's listening right now that's in the blue economy, please come apply to techrise.co/apply.
Absolutely.
But in between then and now, I'm curious, how does it, I know commercialization for each technology is going to be different, but can we kind of place how long is realistic? When you think of, pharmaceuticals or diagnostics or some of these other kind of high capital, high time intensity commercialization pathways, are we looking at the same kind of thing for the blue economy? Is this a decade away, 2 decades away, or is it, maybe a few years away?
Yeah, I think the great thing about this portfolio is there's a blend. There are some things that are already market ready. If you think about sensor deployment, there's a very active market in sensing, and all the time new sensors are being developed and trialed and manufactured, and there's all sorts of interesting supply chain things to work out. But in general, that's happening, and they're just getting better and better, right? It's established. On the precision separation side, it does have a lot of the same dynamics of biotech and that sort of thing, where it's highly regulated. You've got lots of end users, including utilities, that have regulation that they have to meet, and the risk tolerance around innovation and trialing is challenging. So there's lots of similar dynamics. I don't know if it's going to be quite as long a road for some of this, but the need is increasing. So we think that's good, that there's a growing market awareness and a growing market demand. But it's great that there's this portfolio. So we have things that are really spanning different stages of tech readiness. All of them have in common the need to be trialed and piloted and the need to have investment, all of them. And so we're trying to do the job of matchmaking when we can, really helping industry end uses and utility end uses to inform the R&D agenda. So we're coming up with products that are going to be a little bit faster to market than they might be otherwise. That's really important.
Yeah, I know that was going to be my follow-up question. Just that it seems like from utility companies to real estate to ag tech, so beyond the federal funding, that there should be a meaningful reason for people to be investing in this. And so I'm curious, how can Chicagoans think about supporting the work earlier?
Yes.
Is this corporate venture? Is it corporate philanthropy? Is it a little bit of both?
It's all of the above. So my main message is we've gotten this incredible endorsement from the National Science Foundation that this region and this set of topics is critically important for the future of the country. That's amazing. That should make everyone feel some level of comfort that you're going to be making a good investment if you invest in this coalition. The funding that's on the table is the start. It is not the whole, of what we're going to need to make this go, even in the first couple of years. So we are looking at philanthropic support to fill the gaps in certain areas. We are looking at corporate venture. We are looking at industry contributions, research contributions to the pool, all of it. So my message is, if you also like the idea that the NSF has put a stamp of approval on this, reach out, help us grow. There's so much to do. We already know that the needs in the first 2 years are going to, be double or triple what we've got funding from NSF to do. We've gotten really generous support so far from the state of Illinois, which is really terrific, as well as other partners that are really contributing cash to this whole endeavor. But there are going to be many ways to co-invest. That's a great question, a great place to.
Amazing. I know you have to hop because you have a hard stop, but if just last second, where can people find you?
You can find me. I'm all over. I'm on our website. So currentwater.org is our website, and you can reach out directly. I'm also on LinkedIn. That's a really easy way to find me. But Harkness at currentwater.org. And
thanks so much.
Really appreciate. Oh, it was great to be here. Great to be here.
All right, the founders are coming back. They announced they're ready to announce the winner. All right, and who is announcing today?
I am. Mike.
Wait.
So
Hold on. Are we missing one founder? Looks like we're missing Dwayne. Can you come video on? All right.
Hello.
As a reminder, runner-up gets a place in the potential to be in our finale for the $100,000 prize. So we can start with the runner-up.
Okay. Well, first, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, TechRise, actually, for an awesome event. Thank you, founders, for your thoughtfulness and your innovation. I think it's very productive hour that we've had here. I think each of your efforts are integral to the clean energy and climate space. As I think about each team and kind of what you guys are doing, as I was listening to everyone, the solutions that you guys are bringing to the table, I think are amazing. And I just want to thank you for your thought leadership and your product innovation around that. So as far as the winner, of the competition, I'll start with the runner-up. The runner-up is Demi. There was a lot that we loved, and we really like what you're building. I know, what you're bringing, your innovation that you're bringing to the marketplace with your solution is very innovative, and it's going to go a long way. So thank you. And then that brings us to the runner-up. Our winner, the winner, congratulations, drum roll, goes to REUSO. So congratulations, REUSO, to you and the entire team, actually, that was on the call here today. Outstanding progress and achievement that we see, coming from you guys. Very inspiring. We look forward to watching the innovation that you guys have to come as well. So just overall, thank you to everyone for a great competition. It was very tough today.
Well, thank you so much, judges. I know it's super hard. All of these founders are so talented and visionary, and founders, as you know, this is not a one and done experience. We will have you back on TechRise, and we can't wait to continue to be on this journey with all of you. But definitely congratulations today to REUSO. And as always, thank you to Verizon, but especially today because they sponsored the prize money. So we will see you all in 2 weeks, I believe. So have a wonderful Earth Day and a wonderful weekend.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, everyone. Happy
Thank
Earth,
you.
Everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you.